Hey everyone, and welcome back to a Kingdom Hearts world exploration. Been a while, huh? Well, during my break I did some thinking and the result of that is this new format. I'll explain this a bit more at the end of the video. Just know that if you want to see the full uncut exploration, you can go to my Twitch channel link in the description. I stream the explorations there live and we look through the world together and talk about it. It's pretty fun. Now then, today I'm exploring Radiant Garden, formerly Hollow Bastion, in its Kingdom Hearts 2 iteration, so let's get to it. So here we are in the marketplace, and behind me these walls actually paint a pretty clear picture of this world. The left wall showcases the old architecture of Radiant Garden, which we see more of in Birth by Sleep of course. The flowing water is a common feature of this world too, although in this game it's quite dry overall. On the right is a house being rebuilt as part of the restoration effort, and that's the theme of the world, a reconstruction partway through completion, a mix of old and new. Clearly, I have to mention the castle itself. As Goofy points out, it looks pretty different now. It definitely went through a redesign during all this reconstruction effort because the shape has changed fairly drastically. But do bear in mind, this is the backside, which we don't see in Cage 1. Also, yes, this is the same castle as the one in Cage 1. I'll be explaining why as we move through the world, but here's one big piece of evidence. The pipes are being removed by the castle cranes. I mean, come on, what else do you think this is? It's not like they're being added to the castle. In fact, the nearest bronze tower seems to be the one situated at the very top of the castle in Cage 1. Now, in this game, the castle beneath the corruption lost a lot of the cathedral-style elements from before, which I think is a great shame, but you can see some similarities. The arch shapes at the bottom definitely bear resemblance to those found at the lower levels in the first game. If I jump, you can see massive pipes spreading out at the base level, along with some more of the town. Also, see that blue rock surrounding the castle, like a crater? We see a similar sort of formation in the first game. Another visible example of the restoration effort are these mismatched wall textures, as different brickwork has been used to patch them up. The marketplace is the hub area of this game, the Traverse Town First District equivalent. Unfortunately, it's far less interesting with only basic outdoor shops. If Sora can't weigh himself anywhere, then what's the point? We have Donald's nephews who now own a whole chain of stores, and also a rival competitor with this walking Final Fantasy VII reference Wedge. A reference in name only, it would seem. It doesn't really look like Final Fantasy VII's Wedge. Where we don't have copper pipes, we have grey ones it seems. I'm willing to bet Ansem's computer has Microsoft Pipes as its screensaver. Leon hangs around up here, and we also have the Synth Moogle and item shop, which is a giant duck. And next to that is this 1%er Boomer and his giant fridge, where I assume they keep Kairi when Sora requires motivation. I guess it's more of a freezer, but I saw a Kairi fridging joke and I took it. The next area is the Burrow, which somewhat correlates to the castle town area in BBS. It's pretty simple, just giving us a better look at the town being rebuilt. Merlin's house is here, retaining much of the Archimedes referencing from the first game, and even has the classic Mage Tower spire. The weird umbrellas are back too, serving some purpose probably only known to the old loon himself. Some of the reconstruction effort seems a little slapdash. I mean, what is this board here achieving? Up the stairs we can see a crane, and of course we have to run along the top of the wall. That childish impulse never truly disappears. Peeking over the fence we can see the desolation outside of the town. I mean, there's very little out there but blue rock. The edge looks to be quite a sheer drop, and judging by the misty effects, the water level has dropped in this game. That would certainly make sense given that in Cage 1 the only remaining land outside the castle is the Rising Falls, sat lonely in an endless sea. It's also cool that this game, and BBS, gives us multiple different angles of the castle. Then in Merlin's house, I'm not going to point out every single thing in here, but there's a mix of magic and Cid's tech. I like that his computer has an old DOS style look to it. It's not too high tech, and fits with the rustic look of the town. See the gauges, lights and pipes on this thing? It's what I'd expect computers in this world to look like, given the Magitech theme in the first game. Unfortunately, not everyone got the memo, as we'll see later. Otherwise, in this room we can see a lot of the same objects carried over from Merlin's Traverse Town home, even including the raised brickwork. And look here, Merlin just casually has a journal on not only the worlds he's visited, but the very future itself. Okay dude, giving the Master of Masters a run for his money here. Now let's head out of town to the Bailey. A Bailey is literally a name for a courtyard contained within outer walls, and yes, this is the outer wall surrounding the grounds of the castle. There's Villain's Vale off in the distance, we'll get to that soon. Here's a neat detail, the gate that you have to protect has this pattern on it, and if you pay attention you'll see that this is extremely similar to the one used on the gate at the castle entrance in the first game. Obviously they're not the same gate because of location, but it is a common design and it won't be the last example of that. As we know, the Baileys ripped a new one in the Battle of Hollow Bastion. Like Helm's Deep when that one lucky Uruk got in, here's a comparison between the intact and destroyed versions. This fountain design is one we'll see replicated in BBS. Actually, there is a good bit of detail to be found in this world, which is nice to see. Now, from this angle we can see the front side of Hollow Bastion, and yes, while it still looks very different than before, we can pick out some more similarities. I'll break my own rules and use no clip here just to get a better look. So first of all, see that pipe sticking out the side? That is the exact same pipe as this one in KH1's castle. The Heartless emblem has gone and been replaced with a different crest, but the gears underneath remain. On the right, as we look at it, is a pillar stretching all the way up. You can see how that's the same one. Also, a lot of the cranes are still present, see this one especially. The suspended objects are no longer the same. The right side archway is presumably the same as the middle one in the old design, and indeed in BBS we can see this is where the door is supposed to be. In KH1 it's replaced by a much smaller door. All the brick foundations have been restored. As you can tell in the KH1 version, they're missing and the right side towers are suspended precariously without them. The cranes on the left in KH1 are holding these diamond shapes, and in KH2 we can see these are reattached to the front crest. I'll admit the further you go up, the less things match. Really though, I think this is just a redesign by the developers, or an oversight, I'm not too sure. You can see it's supposed to be the same building underneath all those pipes, by the similarities I pointed out, but it clearly isn't a one-to-one recreation. I wish they'd been a bit more careful and attentive to the original design when making this, because I thought that half castle, half cathedral looking KH1 was much cooler than whatever this weird giant fort in BBS and 3 is. Also, if you needed more convincing, Kairi and her grandmother were seen in the library in KH1's flashback, and in BBS they're seen by Aqua, so quite obviously it's the same place. Anyway, enough of my preaching, let's move towards Villain's Vale. First up is the castle gate. We are now outside the town's outer walls. See these blue tiles? We've seen similar closer to the castle at the base level in KH1. This floor pattern that the mushroom is standing on isn't seen in either KH1 or BBS, but in Birth by Sleep there is a different floor pattern within the town walls, showing that this is a common design element at the very least. It's also a great spot if you're water and you feel like dancing. Also, this archway is a bit similar to the one at the Rising Falls in KH1. Again, might not be the same given how different the areas look, but it shows the architectural commonality. The ravine trail is a fascinating area. Just look at these blue rocks. And these ones too. Okay, yeah, this place is boring. Literally just battle arenas. I mentioned on my backgrounds video last year that I do like how Hollow Bastion and Villain's Vale are used as framing points to show how far you've travelled between the areas. But otherwise, this place is very dull. In KH1, I guess all of this, bar the Rising Falls, was underwater. And yeah, the crystal fissure isn't exactly much different, but there's some cool crystals, so yay. Also, I will say it's nice that they incorporated crystals into this game after KH1 had crystal devices that activate some of the lifts and such. In the Great Moor area, you can actually look back and see the entrance to the fissure, but otherwise, again, this is a plain area. This time for the Thousand Heartless battle, it is framed well, I'll give it that. And it houses my favourite cutscene in the franchise, so I guess it can be proud of itself for that one. And then we reach the weirdly named Dark Depths. I say that because this area has nothing to do with the KH1 Dark Depths, which was located inside the world's keyhole. I don't know, man. The main point of this area is to show off Villain's Vale, and it does look very cool and imposing, I must admit. This is Maleficent's base in this game, and I'm going to assume it was also hers before she invaded the main town 9 years before KH1. It's these big wooden looking spikes with some spindly grey pipes and a Heartless emblem. At the base of this is a bunch of ruins, God knows what they're supposed to be. Not the KH1 castle though, none of them match the aesthetic other than maybe those conical roofs. And yeah, the Heartless emblem with gears inside might be seen as evidence for it being KH1's castle, but literally nothing else looks the same. There's no way these pillars match up to the shape of Hollow Bastion. Also lore-wise, well, yeah, like I've explained with Kairi and such, The main area of this game is called Hollow Bastion to begin with, and this thing has a different name, Villain's Vale, so why would it be the same thing? So what is this place? Honestly, I've got no clue, they never explained it. It's just a thing in Cage 2 and never mentioned again. There's a central room where Maleficent and Pete meet up, and no, that's not the Villain Council room from Cage 1. That takes place in the Castle Chapel, come on, you can quite easily see that. So yeah, it's just this random thing. It's cool, but my god, the amount of confusion this place has caused is frustrating to say the least. In Cage 1's Hollow Bastion concept art, and even the world icon, there's a weird inverted crystal-like structure beneath the ground. That was never seen in the world itself, but maybe this is the idea turned into a new form. Well, also Daybreak Town underneath Scala reuses the idea. But where were we? Oh right, yeah, Villain's Vale is an enigma. Seems like there was something else here once upon a time, another town or castle maybe. Perhaps this world eons ago was comprised of multiple towns and castles. I don't know. Let's move on. So going in the other direction, we end up at the restoration site. Lots of work is being done here to restore the environment. The secret passage to the Garden of Assemblage is located here, but we'll save that for last. One nice thing here is you can see some familiar smoke, or steam, being pumped out of pipes. At the postern, we're right underneath the huge castle. This is one of the reconstructed areas that support the whole structure. If I look up here, that's where we go in BBS, right at the front doors. In this game we never go higher up the castle than this, sadly. I don't really like this boxy, crossy pattern they got going on in this game, and continued into BBS and 3. I think it's pretty dull and ugly looking. See this walkway? It's very bare bones, adding to that under construction feel the world has, made up of different metals. Now we enter the corridors. Cage 2's attempt at making an area complex. It's actually pretty simple, just a couple of loops providing multiple routes to the main chamber, but hey, it's an attempt, and you can get turned around fairly easily. There's two big familiar features here. One, the checkered floor pattern reminiscent of the waterway area in Cage 1, and two, on the same note, these lights on the walls are the exact same as the waterway ones, so the two areas are definitely closely linked. I imagine the waterway is a level below this, given how we enter them from the very bottom in the first game. There's mysterious corridors we can't go down because of rubble. I still firmly believe one of these leads to the laboratory room in Cage 1. Above Ansem's door is a pattern of diamond that we'd see again at the top of the castle in BBS. Oh, I guess they're hanging diamonds too. Ansem's study is pretty cool, seeing all the ruined objects, vague notes on darkness and the heart. Goofy is still trying his best to photobomb once again. After this though, it loses me a bit. Why? Well, it all gets a bit too high-tech, too modern in this area. I liked the Magitech theme of Cage 1's Hollow Bastion, but this here is just straight up glowy sci-fi. I know it needed to fit in with Tron's aesthetic since that world is inside the computer here, but it just feels kinda out of place. I guess the Heartless making pods are pretty cool, and it's eerie seeing just how expansive this manufactory is. Ansem's more modern looking computer is part of the problem. I mean, it isn't sleek, but remember this game came out in 2005. It's still more up to date than Sid's one for sure. Way below the study is the base of the Heartless manufactory. See how far above the previous room was? Below us is a void, who knows what it looks like down there. Below here is the cells area and the Chamber of Repose. It isn't explorable in game, but since I didn't want to leave it out, let's call upon our trusty friend NoClip. There's a rather unnecessary spiral ramp leading down. You'd think with all this technology, installing an elevator might have been an option. Then the corridor at the bottom houses an unsettling number of cells, where the dark and unethical experiments ran by Xehanort took place. The chains on the doors certainly bring some medieval dungeon feel to an otherwise very clean and futuristic room. At the end is the Chamber of Repose, full of nobody sigils and a counterpart to the Chamber of Waking in Castle Oblivion. Funny how they look so similar, even though one was a transformed Land of Departure throne room, and the other is a place constructed by Xehanort and the apprentices. It's an odd connection that doesn't really get explained, I don't think. Well, usually in here would be Aqua's armor and Keyblade, but since we're just looking at map files, they're not visible. Pretty cool to see this outside of cutscenes anyway. There's one final sub-location in this world, and that's the Cavern of Remembrance. With its own dreamy, ethereal theme, this is a final mix edition, and get this, has actual platforming. Crazy, right? So yeah, from a traversal perspective, this is the most interesting set of rooms in the game. It's well crafted to make use of Sora's movement abilities, and I like how you can approach this area, the depths, in different ways. It's nice to see more of the crystals underneath the castle, and the rocks vary from purple to blue and green coloured. It's very mysterious and interesting. Oddly, the doorways like this one are very much Castle Oblivion themed, despite being a different world. Just like the chambers, another link between the two worlds, the mine shaft demands you use movement to get across. With this one you're supposed to quick run. Above us you can see it's possible to fall down here if you're not careful in another room. This place actually has quite nice interconnectivity. Another example of this is from the depths. Two more passages exist, with one leading to the bottom of the mining area and the machines you have to activate to progress the upper area. The other route takes us to the mine shaft where I just showed. Through this door is the mining area, now the upper section where the activated machines will help us platform up to the top. The Ride the Wind mechanic from the Land of Dragons returns here to actually provide some use outside of the boss. I like how this seems to be some hidden machinery that connects to the castle above via the pipes. The next room is actually the upper section of the mine shaft. See how you can fall down this gap I pointed out previously? The challenge here is an aerial dodge one. As we've ascended to the surface, the rocks are becoming more classically Hollow Bastion blue. You can even see some more caves above. After this is the engine room, where they placed a bunch of obstacles in conjunction with powered up variants of some Heartless. It's a bit annoying to traverse, but you know what, I like it because it's actually trying to incorporate level design into gameplay, which the rest of KH2 doesn't do. If only the whole game had more of the Cavern of Remembrance's design philosophy. The conveyor belt here is trying to knock you back to the beginning of the room, but once you get past it and collect the extra chests along the way, you'll end up at the mine shaft once again, the final area of the main cavern. The challenge here is to glide at the right height to not be stopped by the pipes. I do like these movement challenges for adding encouragement to level up dry forms, which is a common theme in Final Mix. See the mushrooms and the puzzle pieces for more of that. Finally, we have the transport to Remembrance, and the area becomes full-on Castle Oblivion with white walls, pillars, and the crest we saw in Chain of Memories. There's a return of the Rising Falls here, which is nice to see. Oh, and here's a neat detail, the reflection of the water on the adjacent pillars. Then we emerge at the Garden of Assemblage. There's Hollow Bastion peeking at us from above the Rising Falls. It's nice to see this to show whereabouts we are in respect to the world, and a sight for sore eyes after the trial of the cavern. The data organization fights are housed here, as we see from the portals with each member's rank and icon. Xemnas' icon is actually the shield formed by his dragon's wings. And yeah, there's jets of water and such here, along with flowy tubes and the monitor. There's the shortcut back to the restoration site, and the stained glass on the door is pretty cool to see. This area would be recreated in a digital form in KH3 Remine, so I do wonder what the actual canon of this place is. I'm not really sure. But there we have it, Radiant Garden fully explored. With the Final Mix additions, this is the biggest world in KH2, although not particularly complex. The vanilla world is essentially 3 straight pathways leading off from the Bailey, with some diversions. The burrow has some verticality, and of course there's the twisty corridors, but otherwise very linear paths. Still, the Cavern of Remembrance elevated the world's level design by a lot. An interconnected, platforming heavy dungeon with traps is exactly my kind of thing, and it looks cool to boot. Putting aside the mechanical design though, I do like the variety in locations this world offers. We've got a town, castle walls, the depths of the castle and Ansem Study, desolate canyons, caverns, Castle Oblivion style areas. You know, there's a lot of cool areas here, and I think in terms of spectacle and style, it has that in buckets. That said, if we put aside the Cavern of Remembrance, this is actually my least favourite playable iteration of this world. I much prefer the castle and general design of KH1's Hollow Bastion, and I think BBS's Radiant Garden has a more interesting layout, and of course just looks prettier because it isn't halfway completed. It also isn't as dry as it is in this game. I'm still a bit unhappy with the changes to Hollow Bastion itself, but overall it's a good world, and I do like how more and more opens up as the story progresses. Twilight Town remains my favourite in KH2 though, so that's that. What do you think about KH2's Radiant Garden? Or are there any little details that you'd like to point out? Feel free to leave a comment below. And yeah, I said I'd explain this new exploration format at the end. So what I'm doing now is streaming the initial exploration on Twitch, as I've been doing since KH1's Hollow Bastion. But rather than recording the whole thing and trying to do the voiceover as I watch that back, I'm going to be writing notes and recording specifically what I need. Then at some point, write a script with those notes and the footage to use for my voiceover. This means the videos will feel a bit more pre-produced, true, but they'll also get to the point more, focus on the most interesting parts of the worlds, and most importantly, be way less stressful for me to make because I can plan ahead. It'll also be more applicable to other games potentially because it's a more tightly crafted affair and less reliant on what I can explore the first time with the player character. Oh, and I'm still only focusing on worlds that I want to do most. Mainly original worlds, right? What I might do for the smaller worlds is stream the explorations, then just upload that full VOD to my second channel, rather than spend time creating a full edited video like this for something I ultimately don't care that much about. So go subscribe to that channel if you want to see those, and like I said, check out my Twitch too. And if you've got any info or trivia on worlds in the games, the best place to let me know is probably my Discord server. All of this is linked in the description, of course. And that's it from me. The next exploration video on this channel will be the world that never was. So stay tuned for that, and as always, thanks for watching.